So here we are, another video, one of the many. Um, I have noticed on some of the social media platforms that I visit quite regularly, and some of the communities that I go to, and particularly also in books and audio books that I listen to. There is in some incredible information and content out there. But something came up this morning that I thought I'd look into. And so, in my quest to do something authentic, um, I went into my meditation in search of that. I think, there is, as I say, some wonderful information out there. Some of it can be quite baffling, some of it is quite lengthy, some of it is quite detailed. But for my side of things and the things that I like to share online, I think it needs to be coming from more of a heart space, as I said before, and it needs to be a bit more authentic as well. I need to, whilst it's wonderful recycling content or perhaps using it in some of my talks or in terms of some of the things that I want to do. I think it's also important to make sure that you're doing something that is real, something that is usable, something that is not too scientific. And I use that term very loosely because I'm not a scientist. I'm certainly not an expert. But what I do like to do is share stuff that is accessible. And I did that throughout my writing my book recently. And that's all it is. It's a conversation and it's sharing. And so I went into my meditation with the idea of, I was just going to see what come up regarding what I felt about transformational change. And so, in the spirit of that, I've come up with something. Something's popped up, and it came around about the idea of, when something isn't going quite right in your life. You could say, if your life was a timeline, you could say, oh, there's a smudge there, or there's a dirty bit there, or whatever. There's places that need cleaning up. Okay, so I thought, well, what do you need to clean things up with? And all of a sudden, I'm thinking about soap. Um, and so when you break down, and I'm kind of a fan of mnemonics, I must admit. So if you break down the letters of soap, there we have this authentic, new, maybe, strategy for looking at things. And so I started working with it, and it turns out that it kind of fits. So I'm going to share that in that sense. The S for my mnemonic is for stress. Now, there's a lot of information out there regarding stress, what it does to us neurochemically, how it becomes more of they call it the Black Plague. It pops up in all corners of our lives, and there are numerous strategies: meditation to relaxation to breathing to walking in nature, whatever it is, to cope with that. And so, whatever the thing that has come along that to cause you some pain is, I think it does come under the umbrella ultimately of stress. You are firing chemistry into your body that is making you feel differently. And so we use the S of soap as the identifier being stress. And it's important to kind of, in this sense, in this model, to disassociate the very thing that you're trying to fix just for a moment. And the O moves on to that in terms of we have to be objective. You have to bring in objectivity. I like the idea of some have suggested that you have to become the noticer. You have to look at what it is that's going on from a kind of third party perspective. You've got to say, look, there's a person and they're having this problem in their life. And you've got to be objective and you can say, okay, their health isn't great, their finances aren't great, their car's just broken down, their internet is buffering, whatever it is. Um, their relationships could be breaking down, all these kind of things. So it's important. Once you've identified that, yes, okay, I'm in a stressful situation, you've got to become objective about it. And you've got to say, what are the root causes of this? Really stretch it out. I know that this video is quite quick, and I wouldn't suggest that you could fix problems this quick, but I'm just sort of trying to offer a model where you could work within. So the A part of soap is, in terms of your cleanup, is you need to stop being in an argument. You need to be in acceptance, in a level of acceptance where you can say, okay, I a lot of the pain that happens in these times of change is our argument with what is. You know, there is a fact staring you in the face, and you're in an argument with it. You know that you get into this victim consciousness where you say, "Okay, why me? Why is this happening? You know, just at the wrong time." Etc. etc. But I think it's also important to try and reduce that argument and get down to the idea that you are facing something. It's a challenge. Get on and accept it, and try and reduce that argument that you're having with it in order to try and take it to the next level, to transcend it, if you like. And the final letter of soap being P is you ultimately you're gonna have to change your perception. Now, perception, as Dr. Bruce Lipton has said, and many other people on social media have talked about, is just again, it's changing your view of things, changing how you see things. You know, you've come through the identifiers of saying, calling it out as stress, becoming objective, reducing the argument. You're in now this phase where your perception needs to change in order for you to look at it differently, in order to behave differently, in order for you to respond to it differently. So, you know, it's a very humble offering. And, you know, in terms of a reply, someone could say, "Well, that's all very well, Simon. You know, at the end of the day, I understand what's gone on in my life. I've lost a lot of money. I've split up from a relationship that's been lengthy. My health has deteriorated. I'm not manifesting as much as I thought, and I'm stuck. You know, but in some ways, it's a little obvious in that sense. But I think it's also important to detach all of that detail just for the moment whilst you're trying to process out what it is that's causing you the pain. And in each of those sections of soap, in the soap model, in each of those, you can work, you know, slowly through it, because it, again, as I said just a minute ago, it's not about a quick fix. It's about dealing with it in a comprehensive way so that you can perform a lasting change rather than just a little bit of a cleanup. And ultimately, you know, this is what this soap model is about. And again, this has all just come up this morning, so I'm kind of going with it. I'm kind of in flow, and I hope that you get my meaning and the sense that, you know, it's offered with as much compassion and kindness as I can, and I will continue to share. And I hope that, you know, you can perhaps incorporate some of it into your challenges, as I'm going to try and do for the rest of today.